Hi, I'm Sarah, and I want to share a little about myself. I'm 30 years old and I have a strong passion for fitness. I work as an instructor at a local gym, and it's there that I met Jake. What began as a simple acquaintance turned into something much deeper, and we quickly formed a strong bond, ultimately leading us to plan our wedding together. Jake has a younger brother named Max, who's an awesome guy, and we hit it off right away. However, Jake's mom, Karen, and I didn't exactly get along. From the very beginning, she seemed to have a problem with me, accusing me of being a gym rat and influencing her sons negatively. Things came to a head one day at the gym. Jake was lifting weights, Max was running on the treadmill, and I was teaching a class when Karen unexpectedly walked in. I greeted her warmly, hoping to keep things cordial, but she shot me a cold look and accused me of keeping a close eye on her sons. I was surprised, as I was just doing my job, but she criticized me for wearing tight clothes and claimed I was being inappropriate. Jake heard her, dropped his weights in frustration, and came to my defense, but Karen wasn't having it. "I see what's going on here," she snapped, disapproving of my friendly attitude, especially toward men. Max, trying to defuse the situation, suggested she calm down, but Karen quickly shut him down. Despite my efforts to reassure her that I was just working, Karen continued her tirade, even accusing me of inappropriate behavior based on my Instagram posts. Jake tried to explain that the people she was referring to were just clients and friends, but Karen wouldn't accept that explanation. Eventually, the confrontation ended with Karen storming out, leaving us in an awkward silence. Jake apologized and comforted me, while Max lightened the mood with a joke about Karen. Although I tried to laugh, her harsh words stayed with me. That night, as Jake and I were in bed, he reassured me of his trust, which meant a lot, but the lingering doubt that Karen had placed in her mind still hung over us. This incident at the gym was only the start of a series of tensions. At a family dinner later, the atmosphere was charged. Max tried to ease the tension by asking about my work, but Karen used the opportunity to make another jibe about me flirting with clients. Jake, visibly uncomfortable, asked his mom to stop, but Karen was relentless. "I'm entitled to speak my mind," she snapped. "I've seen the way those men treat you on Instagram, like you're some kind of prize." Her words made my face burn with anger and embarrassment, but I explained again. "Karen, they're just clients and friends. There's nothing inappropriate going on." She scoffed, dismissing my explanation. "Friends, huh? Is that what we're calling it now?" Max tried to defend me, telling her she was wrong, but Karen's gaze only grew colder. "And you, always defending her. What's really happening between you two? Always together, always whispering." Her words cut deep, and the tension in the room was palpable. Jake, furious, demanded, "Mom, what are you talking about?" But Karen leaned in, looking directly at me. "I'm talking about betrayal, Jake. Your wife and your brother sneaking around." I was stunned into silence. Her words were ludicrous. "That's a vile thing to say," I managed to get out. "Max is like a brother to me." Max, visibly upset, added, "Mom, you're completely out of line." "Sarah's my sister-in-law, nothing more." Jake's voice dropped, a dangerous edge to his tone. "Mom, you need to stop. This is ridiculous." But Karen was relentless. "Open your eyes, Jake. I'm just trying to protect you from her." The rest of the meal passed in an uneasy quiet. After dinner, the tension followed us into the bedroom where Jake, shaking with contained rage, confronted me. "Sarah, is there any truth to what my mom is saying about you and Max?" I felt as though I had been slapped. "Jake, are you serious? Your mom's accusations are absurd. You know me, you know Max. How could you even entertain those ideas?" Jake paced back and forth, his hands buried in his hair. "I don't know what to think anymore, Sarah. My mom's doubts have me questioning everything." I was on the brink of tears. "So you're taking her side? You believe her over me?" He stopped and looked at me, his expression lost and tormented. "I don't know what I believe anymore. I need some time to think." And with that, he left the room, leaving me alone, wounded and bewildered. Karen's words had burrowed deep, casting a long shadow over our relationship. I knew then that things between Jake and me might never be the same. A few months after that fateful dinner, I discovered I was pregnant. This should have been joyful news, but given the circumstances, it felt like yet another complication. I remember the moment I told Jake. We were in the kitchen, a place that once echoed with our laughter. "Jake, I'm pregnant," I said, my voice shaking. He looked up, his face a blend of astonishment and an emotion I couldn't quite decipher. "Pregnant? Wow, are you sure?" His reaction stung. "Yes, I'm sure. We're going to have a baby." He walked over and embraced me, but even in his hug, there was a tension that hadn't been there before. The future felt uncertain, and Karen's poisonous words lingered, threatening the joy that should have come with our impending new arrival. The air felt tense and unnatural, even more so than usual, as Jake and I approached Karen's house for our regular Sunday visit. With every step closer, my heart sank a bit more, knowing the news of my pregnancy had already reached her ears. As expected, Karen greeted us with a sharp, piercing look. "So I hear you're pregnant, Sarah," she said, her voice laden with skepticism and veiled accusations. "Yes, we're excited," Jake responded, trying to keep the atmosphere light, but Karen's skepticism was palpable as she arched an eyebrow and asked, "Expecting, huh? And Jake, you're sure it's yours?" Jake's face tightened with irritation. "Mom, don't start this again," he warned. But Karen was relentless. "I'm just voicing what everyone's thinking. Your wife has been quite friendly with a lot of men." I was stunned by her boldness. "Karen, are you actually suggesting that I've been unfaithful? That this child isn't Jake's?" I asked, incredulity painting my voice. She just shrugged nonchalantly. "I'm just looking out for my son. A mother's concern is natural," she claimed. Max, who had been silent until then, finally spoke up. "Mom, this is ridiculous. You need to stop." Karen shot him a stern look. "Stay out of this, Max. This is between Jake, Sarah, and me." The visit only spiraled from there. Karen's continuous insinuations and sly remarks made the atmosphere suffocating. It felt as if she was deliberately trying to sow seeds of doubt in Jake's mind. By the time we left, the air between Jake and I was thick with unspoken tension. Back home, Jake retreated into a shell of silence, his gaze lost to the void. I sat beside him, desperate for him to speak. "Jake, please talk to me," I pleaded. He turned to me, his eyes a turmoil of confusion and pain. "Sarah, my mom's words, they're getting to me. I don't want to believe her, but—" "You think I cheated on you? That I'm carrying someone else's child?" I asked, my voice breaking under the strain of emotion. Jake ran his hands through his hair, a gesture of deep turmoil. "I don't know what to think anymore, Sarah. It's all just too much." A single tear rolled down my cheek. This time in our lives, which should have been filled with joy and anticipation, was being poisoned by Karen's malice. We went to bed surrounded by a heavy silence, the chasm between us widening. The birth of our son, Jack, was meant to be a joyful occasion, but the lingering tension from the ongoing family drama cast a shadow over what should have been a perfect moment. After hours of labor, I was exhausted, and Jake seemed torn between happiness and doubt. When the nurse handed Jack to me, his tiny face, blonde hair, and bright blue eyes were a picture of innocence. "He's beautiful, Sarah," Jake whispered, though his voice revealed an underlying uncertainty. "Yes, he is," I responded, trying to push away the unease that had begun to settle within me. The visit from Karen and Max only intensified the tension. Karen's eyes narrowed as she examined Jack closely. "Well, isn't he a surprise? Blonde and blue-eyed," she remarked cryptically. Jake stiffened beside me, his discomfort evident. "Mom, what are you implying?" he asked, his voice tight. Karen simply shrugged. "Nothing, just an observation." Max, holding Jack, shot me a sympathetic glance. He's perfect, Sarah. But Karen's comment hung in the air, a subtle challenge that remained unspoken but felt deeply. This wasn't how I had imagined the early days of motherhood, surrounded by suspicion and conflict. In that moment, I realized I would do whatever it took to protect my little family and try to heal the rifts Karen's accusations had caused. Karen's remark left the room thick with tension. "It's strange, isn't it?" she mused, eyeing Jack with skepticism. "You both have dark hair, and here we have a little blondie." My cheeks burned with anger, but I kept my composure. "Karen, genetics can be unpredictable. My cousin has blonde hair too. It's completely normal." She just hummed in response, her gaze fixed on me, scrutinizing every word I said. After they left, the silence in our home felt heavy. Jake sat beside me, lost in his thoughts, while Jack slept peacefully in his crib. "Jake, please," I whispered, my voice trembling. "Don't let your mom's doubts poison your thoughts." He looked between Jack and me, his face troubled. "I know, Sarah, it's just everything she's been saying makes it hard." I reached out for his hand, desperate to connect. "Look at me, Jake. I've never lied to you. I've never betrayed you. He's your son." Jake nodded slowly, his eyes full of sadness. "I know, Sarah, I do. It's just my mom. She knows how to get to me." That night, the tension was unbearable. Jake held Jack, gazing down at him with a mix of love and uncertainty. "Jake, we need to move past this," I said firmly. "We're a family now. We can't let your mom tear that apart." He nodded. "You're right. I'll talk to her. I'll make things clear." But even as he spoke, I knew it wouldn't be easy. Karen's doubts had taken root and they were suffocating our relationship. In the following weeks, our home felt like a battlefield. Every conversation, every glance, every touch was fraught with unspoken questions and mounting tension. One chilly evening, instead of being curled up together as a family, Jake paced the room while Jack slept soundly, unaware of the storm brewing around him. Suddenly, Jake stopped in his tracks and turned to face me, his expression hard, his voice cold. "Sarah, I can't take this anymore. We're doing a DNA test for Jack." My heart sank. "A DNA test? Are you serious, Jake?" His face was set, resolute. "It's not just about us, Sarah. I want Max to take the test too." The words hit me like a punch to the gut. "Max? Your brother? You honestly think—" Jake interrupted me, firm and unyielding. "You've heard my mom. There are doubts, Sarah, and they're eating away at me." Fury surged within me. "So your mom's irrational fears are causing this? What happened to trusting your wife?" His response was icy. "This isn't just about trust, it's about certainty. I need to know for sure." Tears filled my eyes as I retorted, "And what if I say no?" "What then, Jake?" His answer was chilling. "If you refuse, you and Jack can't stay. I need to figure this out, and I can't do that with you here." I stared at him, disbelief and anger warring within me. "You'd just throw out your wife and son like that?" He wouldn't meet my gaze. "It's the only way, Sarah." I spent a restless night consumed by anger and despair. The next morning, I confronted Jake again, hoping he had come to his senses. Holding Jack in my arms, I pleaded, "Jake, we need to talk. You can't be serious about this." Jake was distant, resolute. "I've thought it over, Sarah. The test happens or you leave. That's final." I couldn't hold back my tears. "This is insane, Jake. You're letting your mother's paranoia come between us." He remained unmoved. "It's not about choosing sides. It's about finding the truth." I was aghast at how far Karen's influence had reached, threatening to shatter our family under the weight of her baseless suspicions. As the weight of Jake's doubts pressed heavily on us, it became painfully clear that our marriage was faltering under the strain. "What about us, Jake? What about our marriage?" I asked him, desperation seeping into my voice. Jake sighed, his eyes clouded with a mixture of regret and confusion. "I don't know, Sarah. Right now, I just need answers." With a heavy heart, I packed our bags. Jack, innocent and unaware, continued to play as I struggled to hold back tears. We moved to my mom's place temporarily. Once there, I couldn't hold it in any longer. "He's making us take a DNA test, Mom. He's lost his mind," I vented, tears streaming down my face. My mom wrapped her arms around me, her voice tinged with anger and disbelief. "That boy is throwing away his family over some nonsense. You're better than this, Sarah. I don't even recognize him anymore." I sobbed into her shoulder. She held me tight, her support unwavering. "You're strong, Sarah. You'll get through this. We'll get through this together." The doubts Jake harbored not only tore our family apart but also eroded the love and trust that once bound us. Now I was left facing a future riddled with uncertainties, a single mother with a shattered heart, trying to make sense of the wreckage. After days of agony, I gave in to Jake's demand for a DNA test. It felt like surrendering to a storm, but I saw no other choice. From my mom's house, I called Jake to inform him of my decision. "Jake, I'll do the damn test," I said, my voice as steady as I could manage. There was a pause on the other end before he replied, "Okay, I'll arrange it." And Max agreed to do it too. I clenched my phone tighter, anger and resignation mixing within me. Fine, let's just get this over with. A week later, the results were in. My heart pounded as we gathered at the clinic, Jake, Max, Karen, and I. Karen, who had insisted on being there, wore a smug look, as if she had already won. Jake, his hands trembling, opened the envelope handed to him by the nurse. We all held our breath as he read. Finally, Jake looked up, his face unreadable. "I'm the father. Jack is my son." Relief washed over me, and I exhaled a breath I didn't realize I had been holding. "I told you, Jake. I told you," I said, though my voice was more tight, tired, than triumphant. Karen's face morphed into a picture of shock and disbelief. "But how? I was so sure." She stammered. "Yeah, you were sure," Max interjected, his voice dripping with sarcasm. "Sure about ruining our family with your paranoia?" Jake just sat there, the results in his hands, looking utterly lost. "I don't know what to say," he murmured. Furious tears streamed down my face. "You want to say something now? After you put us through hell?" Jake reached out, but I pulled away. "Don't, Jake. Just don't." Max stood, his anger palpable. "I can't believe you did this, Jake. You and Mom, you two deserve each other." Karen tried to intervene, but Max cut her off. "No, Mom. You've done enough. I'm done with this." With those words, he walked out, leaving Jake and Karen sitting there, confronted by the proof of their unfounded doubts. I felt hollow inside. The DNA test had proven my innocence, but at what cost? My marriage, my trust in Jake, it all seemed shattered beyond repair. As I walked out of that clinic, I knew deep down that nothing would ever be the same again. The moment of truth had arrived. I decided it was time to lay everything bare, to confront the situation head-on. I invited Jake, his brother Max, and their mother Karen to my mom's house for one final showdown. The air was thick with tension as they walked in. "Thanks for coming," I began, trying to keep my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "There's a lot we need to talk about." Karen took her seat, her face set in its usual scowl, defensive as ever. "I'm here, let's get this over with," she snapped. Jake looked uneasy, shifting in his seat across from me. "Sarah," he said, "I've been thinking, maybe we can just forget all this and start fresh, you know?" His suggestion, filled with hope but lacking any understanding, made me want to laugh bitterly. "Forget," I repeated, incredulous. "Oh, Jake, you really have no clue." Without another word, I pulled the divorce papers from beneath the table and slammed them down in front of him. His face shifted from confusion to shock. "Divorce? Why, Sarah? I thought we could work through this," he stammered, clearly blindsided. That's when I delivered the final blow, a folder filled with photographs. I tossed it across the table to him, the contents speaking for themselves. As Jake flicked through the images, his face drained of color. Each photo captured him getting far too close to another woman. He opened his mouth to speak, but no words came. Karen, unable to resist, grabbed the photos from the table, her eyes growing wide with disbelief. "This doesn't prove anything. She's not right for you anyway, Jake," she insisted, clinging to her denial. I was furious. "Oh, it proves plenty, Karen. It shows Jake's hypocrisy. He accused me of cheating, and yet here he is, the real cheater." Max, who had been silent up until now, finally let his disgust show. "I can't believe this," he muttered, his voice dripping with disappointment. "All this time, you were pointing fingers at Sarah, and you're the one who's been lying." Jake tried to explain himself. "It's not what it looks like," he stammered. Max cut him off sharply. "Save it, Jake. I'm done with you, with Mom's games." He stood, decisively heading toward the door. Karen reached for him, desperation in her voice. "Michael, please." But Max shrugged her off. "No, Mom. You and Jake have gone too far this time." With that, he walked out, leaving an oppressive silence in his wake. Karen, still clutching the photos in her hands, turned to Jake. "You can do better than her, Jake. You'll see." But Jake, visibly crushed by the revelations, remained silent, his face a mask of betrayal and guilt. I faced them, my resolve hardened. "You've both made your beds. Now you can lie in them. I'm done being part of this toxic mess." Karen opened her mouth to speak, but I raised my hand, stopping her. "No, Karen. There's nothing left to say. You've lost a daughter-in-law and a son today. I hope it was worth it." As they left, I felt a strange mixture of relief and sadness wash over me. I turned to my mom, who had been a steadfast pillar of strength through the ordeal. "It's over, Mom. Justice now." She hugged me tightly. "You did the right thing, Sarah. We're here for you always." After the dust settled, the divorce was finalized. The court granted me alimony and compensation for Jake's betrayal. It was a small victory in the grand scheme of things, but it felt like justice. One day, Karen showed up at my doorstep, desperation and guilt etching her features. "Sarah, I need to see Jack. He's my grandson." I stood in the doorway, blocking her path. "Not a chance, Karen. After everything you've done, you think you have the right to see him?" She tried to push past me, but I stood firm, an unyielding guardian to the new peace I had fought so hard to secure. Standing my ground firmly at the doorway, I faced Karen with an unyielding resolve. "I'm his grandmother, Sarah. You can't keep me from seeing him," she argued desperately. "Watch me," I replied coldly. "You lost that right when you tore this family apart." Karen's expression contorted with anger as she accused me of being unreasonable. "Unreasonable? No, Karen. To us, you're no longer family," I countered sharply. Her departure was lonely and defeated. In time, I learned that Max had left the city, cutting ties with both Karen and Jake. He couldn't stand the damage their actions had caused to the family he had once loved. As for Jake, he made several attempts to reconnect, but each one I rejected. "You have your mother to thank for all this," I told him curtly during one of his calls. "Don't bother calling again." Left to deal with the fallout alone, Jake was forced to confront the consequences of his actions, with only Karen by his side, the woman he now blamed for everything that had gone wrong. Life slowly moved forward. I focused on raising Jack and advancing my career, putting the pieces of our lives back together. My mother was a constant pillar of support, helping me navigate the challenges of single motherhood. One quiet evening, with Jack peacefully asleep and a cup of tea in my hands, my mother sat beside me. "You did the right thing, Sarah. It wasn't easy, but it was the right decision," she reassured me. I nodded, feeling the weight of everything we had endured. It's just us now, but we're stronger for it. The betrayal, the lies, the heartache, those were now behind us. Ahead, there was a future filled with hope, a fresh start waiting for us. Jake and Karen had become part of a past best left forgotten. This was our time, our chance to rebuild, and I was ready to embrace it fully, knowing the strength and resilience my mother and I shared would guide us through whatever came next.